Hey, we're back here this afternoon, this morning for our Robert, who's in North Carolina. I'm with our Robert.
Actually,
Oh, sorry,
South
whoops, I
Carolina.
meant
That's
South
okay.
Carolina. Um, I should know that by now with the amount of hangouts I've had with you. But anyway, lovely Robert. Hello, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, Karen. Thanks so much for inviting me. Our last hangout. A lot of um,
Right.
a lot of manipulation and
Oh,
attempted control of humanity by
oh, yes.
controlling their minds, and that's a lot of what's been happening. And well, we're doing our level best to expose the reality of the world we live in to a power. In fact, the irony is that a heavy diet of corporate programming gives the illusion of being informed, and it's actually an evidence of a lot of and an exposure to a lot of mind control techniques, like out of the Tavistock Institute. And so there you go. I have an introduction on my top of my list, on the top of my research, the Truth Network AI Research Library. I deploy it worldwide often as I add another video to my channel, to that playlist. I often reply to the proclamation, something that goes like this. When I'm watching a video that I really like, or I can't believe they just said that and are posting that, I'll put amazing analysis, comma, deployed worldwide through my AI research library, dot, dot, dot. And then sometimes I'll put my name, I'll put a hashtag, a space, and then my name, Robert Foerstch, connected, and my phone number. If I connect the hashtag and my name to create a hyperlink, it will quite often be flagged and delayed posting. Whereas if I leave that space there, largely that will go up if they're not hiding me from the channel or my comments from others. So this morning I decided
You
to
don't
go.
get blocked or anything, do you, Robert? Do they block you sometimes? You're talking about Facebook.
Well, it's we're in a very interesting time. So many of you are familiar with the World
I've just
Economic
got out of a
Forum.
week's ban because I just put links on Facebook more than anything. I'm a bit
Yeah,
more of a YouTuber, but I like Facebook because that's where the people are as well. And that's a place where you can put links out. You put links out and then they block you.
yeah. So there's approximately a couple billion users of Facebook with active accounts, and exactly how many people go to YouTube? Billions. As far as YouTube channels, that's another story. But what I was gonna, when you asked, do I get blocked? I'm not sure. So I'll give you an example. This morning,
Well,
I
you'd get a
included.
notification because you'd go to put a post out and you wouldn't be able to do it if they blocked you. You're probably a good boy. You don't get blocked, do you?
Well, let me tell you who I commented on today, and I put my research library on the channel for the World Economic Forum, and they're instrumental in the exploitation of humanity, and they're going for the global reset, the Great Reset. And there's a lot of deception and manipulation throughout, efforts to shame people into even breathing or breaking wind. You know,
Oh,
our human activity is, it just comes with, that's why we're here, is that the there's a battle going on now between humanity and artificial intelligence and the transhumanists, the transpocalypse, which involves transhumanism, transgendering, Satanism,
yeah,
the
yeah. I
world
put
of
one out the other day, Robert, with the actors. big long list of them. There were so many, it must have taken me 10, 15 minutes to go through the list from A to Z. I don't
Yes.
know if they're always changing sex, but they play other people, and what they're saying is, so basically, just say it was you and me, but I could play a man, and then we get together and they go, oh look, there's a gay couple, but we're not. I'm a man and a woman. We're a man and a woman.
Yeah, so you can
They
change
do
the
things
plumbing
like
and
they do such weird things. They just anyway.
yeah, so you can change the plumbing and padding. It doesn't change the genetics. But now with the new COVID vaccine that
Call it the
will be,
Lyris. The
well,
Lyris.
what they're wanting to do is change our genetics worldwide,
Well, do you know what
manipulate.
that is? I found it, Robert. It's on the HARP thing. Basically, HARP's to affect our mind and to affect the weather, and they've got a chip. It's a chip they want us to have.
Well, so I'm going to elaborate a little bit on that. The chip and HARP are not exactly irrelevant. They're just different components of the system. We may not necessarily
No,
need
I
to
think they've
have a,
camouflaged it. I think they've camouflaged it
yeah,
into.
you know where they hit it was in plain sight. Our cell phones, our wireless communication systems that includes but not limited to Wi-Fi, ground wave emergency network towers, cell towers, and then all the fifth generation wireless technology that's also a directed energy weapon. And the Internet of Things now includes us. Isn't that special? How thoughtful of them.
It's really
So
nice. They want to make us. They want to bring us into the system like we're some computers.
yeah,
We're supposed to
well,
be. I
this
don't
is
even
the,
know if I can use the word human because someone else, Nigel, he went and looked up what the words meant.
yeah,
And Nigel is a dead entity. A human is a dead entity, basically. But that's another story. We're going to do a podcast on that. But
huh,
it's not a
interesting.
good word, human, and soul's not a good word either in this thing he's looking up. But anyway, yeah, they're trying to put us, sort of bring us into. They're trying to make us look like we're components in a computer system, and they need to get us computerized. We're not. We've got
Well,
spirits.
unfortunately, there's a lot of technology that's been integrated into the food, water, and air. So even though there's quite a bit of controversy and pushback on the vaccine from those of us that are more aware of the battle that we're in, a lot of the technology is already integrated in our bodies, and that can be activated by electronics and other chemical synergy. He's not a doctor as far as I know, James Giordano, looks like Dr. Evil on Austin Powers. He's got a scar on his face. Celeste Solum talked about him a bit. Celeste is on my channel. And sometimes what I'll do is, so I posted the videos, a couple of them from the World Economic Forum, at which point I make my comment, my reply to my comment is my research library. The artificial intelligence, of course, knows what I'm up to. I'm wanting to make a thought-provoking comment that should go live for people to see. Shared, deployed worldwide through my research library. I wonder what's there. That's what I want people to think. What is there? Well, right now there's about 4,990 some videos of, hey, you might want to take a look at this, including beautiful, relaxing video of the world that we live in, as well as hard-hitting documentaries exposing the assault with neurological weapons on humanity, which
Yeah, we're the
includes, but
problem,
it's
aren't we?
not.
We're the enemy.
Well, to some we are. Yeah, they need enough. They need apparently about 500 million people as caretakers on their estate, which they view the world as we know it as theirs. They want us to, we're slaves on the plantation somewhat. I'm not much of a slave. I'm more the guy that's wanting to help people realize there are some things that we can do. One of them is to show and tell. So that was like my video this morning. It's about 5.5 minutes long. I'm out at the Cherry Grove Fishing Pier talking on the beach, and I am addressing the artificial intelligence and how it currently has full administrative level access of the entire internet, including, but not limited to, the creation and distribution of electricity, purchasing power, public opinion, the influence that all that money that's created out of thin air through debt slavery. Hey, I've got it. I've got it there. David Icke is on there. He's talking about it. I've got all kinds of people that I agree with on many topics on my channel. And so my effort is to help people realize the truth about the reality of the world that we live in as best I'm aware at this point in my investigation. I'm 59 years old now, and I was an inquisitive young boy, and then I just continued with my wanting to know the truth and how things work and why things work. Goes all the way back to my first memories of when I was a young child in a crib. Not that I remember it all, I just remember a lot of it. And one of the huge turning points in my realization of things was in 1969 when I found out the whole Santa Claus. I was 7 years old, found out that the whole Santa Claus flying reindeer delivering presents was a lie. I found out it was mom and dad. And I was wondering why would they lie about that? Why would on
Yeah,
July.
so so as parents, we lie.
Yeah, and that's what happened. And July 20th of 1969, the same year, that lie was replaced with a even bigger lie that more people didn't know was really a lie. It was the moon landing hoax. The smoking gun to the fact that it's not possible is they claim to fly up in space and take a picture of the Earth. And well, that's not what the Earth looks like as best I can tell. There's too much round, too much fear going on. And I've got a nature relaxation video playing right now in the background showing a whole bunch of flat and level water. Keep in mind there would never ever be level on a spinning, wobbling, and gyrating water ball hurling through space. So none of that supposed movement of the globe has ever been proven. Well, for two reasons. One of them is it's not a globe. The Earth is not a globe. And there is no movement of the Earth itself that has ever been detected. So there can be people that will rise up and they'll just call me stupid and lump me into a bunch of people that they would like to think are crazy or would like to have the rest of humanity think we're crazy. Well, when in fact we have the cojones to tell the truth about what's really going on here, even at the risk of our lives, potentially. Some
Yeah,
of the truth tellers that expose the atrocities of the military and medical and industrial complexes, they get killed. They kill them sometimes, not all the time. I don't know what the system is going to try to do to me. I know that about a year ago, now that video that I posted, it's only 5.5 minutes long, and I was describing how it used to be when I liked a video, it was shared tens of millions of times because I've been very busy putting the link to my liked videos wherever I can. And I've got a video of the sun appearing in the clouds that's been shared over 25,000 times with about 1 million views in its variety of venues. So what Google/YouTube did on December the 5th of last year, they made everybody's liked videos playlist private. What that did was that disconnected the visibility of those playlists to everybody but me. So that was what happened with that. So I had been encouraging our truth telling friends to make make our liked videos playlist publicly viewable, and then share that link wherever we can. So the artificial intelligence, machine learning computer system that's working all this together hides the truth from some, presents it to others. That's how a lot of us got here. Was we may have been, I know I've been viewed as an odd kind of guy for a long time. I'm okay with that. But wanting to know the truth about how things really work actually is a bit of an
You're one
oddity.
of the nicest people. One of the nicest people. You're one of my oldest flat earth friends. You're lovely.
Hey, thanks, Karen. You know, in a world that is deceived, seeking the truth and telling the truth is really unpopular. And as I've been heard saying a couple of times, the truth isn't popular. It's not based on popular opinion. It's just simply the truth. It's the reality of the situation. So, what I like to ask people, is it true? And sometimes they'll say, is what true? Whatever you want to know about. Whatever it is that you would like to know about, is it actually true? Or were you just told it's true? Have you believed a lie? And if in fact you...
Yeah, that's where they've got people, isn't it? Because people see it on the television. Oh, that's reality when it isn't.
Yeah, and I think, I believe that there is a move of people waking up to the reality that we've been lied to about a lot. And that's where early on in my experience in finding out that the Earth isn't a globe, that it's a stationary level plane, what happened was that was one particular topic, that there is no movement of the Earth that has ever been proven. I can prove that it's level and not moving by just watching the water in my toilet or my water jug on the window ledge here. I've set a level. The bubble will stay right right in the middle if that's where I start out, and it'll just stay there. And the sun and the moon and the trees move, the wind moves things, but the sun and the moon move, but the bubble stays right there. What I wanted to do was be very precise with what I said about our Earth. It's not really flat, because if it were flat, it would be covered entirely by water. About 30% of the Earth, as far as we know, has an elevation above sea level. Now, the Earth itself, the ground, the rock and the clay and the sand, has elevation above and below sea level. Now, apparently, Mount Everest is about 5.5 miles tall, and the Marianas Trench is in the bottom of the ocean, and it's supposedly, as we're told, the deepest point on Earth, and that's over 7 miles or so deep. Okay, so we've got these elevations above and below sea level, and the beautiful thing about the water is it fills its container perfectly. It's just what it does. So I can't take myself and my camera to the outer edge and take a picture of it. However, we've got pictures of icebergs and ice walls and pelicans, and penguins, and I've got video on my channel of beautiful time-lapse videography that shows the whole sky moving, the stars moving together along with the moon, and what's interesting, there's wandering stars, and
People have got to get it through their heads, though, that the sea is concave. We're living on this plane with mountains and gorges and beaches and whatever, and the sky is convex.
yeah, so the sky, well, the sky is actually concave. I mean, so the dome, there's what the Bible refers to as the firmament. So I'm unapologetically a biblical creationist. If the Bible, okay, so I believe the Bible's true, and the fact that the Bible proclaims that the earth doesn't move and that the sun, moon, and stars do, and we're covered by a firmament that separates a whole lot of liquid water above us
Can
from
you
this
just,
water below.
Robert, in case anybody's coming new to the channel or anything, explain what you started off doing. You were taking masses of film of the sun and the moon. That was, I think you probably prefer the sun, but you didn't mind the moon, especially when it was there, when the sun was there. But you spent a lot of time doing photography, haven't you?
Yeah, so on my Facebook, I've got a lot of photography, and it used to be that I could copy and paste that photo album in a comment that had my millions of links to my YouTube videos. Well, Facebook stopped that on August 1st of 2018. There's been so I've taken a lot of photography and a lot of videography. Now, if somebody wants to say, hey, I wonder what this Robert Foerstch has going on my channel, you can go there and see all kinds of content. I've got my photo album on Facebook, and I've linked it to some of my YouTube videos. And if you put in the hashtag and my name, and if you put it in a Facebook comment, it'll give some results, a lot of them. If you put it in a Google search, the last I checked, there were like 6,300 results, including MySpace account and TikTok. I'm not twerking on TikTok, but I've got an account, and I've got my YouTube channel linked there as well. And so I'm on Twitter and Instagram. All those locations are primarily a vehicle to put my YouTube channel link there. Now, I would say conservatively, Truth channel, my channel has probably over 100,000 videos in a wide variety of playlists that cover the topics that we're talking about. And some of it can be just beautiful, relaxing music video. Some of it is just beautiful nature video, undersea video, sometimes without music, just the nature sounds of the wind and the birds and like safaris in Africa and beautiful videography that's above Norway, and you can see icebergs and all of the different aspects of the world that we live in, the beautiful vastness of the world that we live in. And there's plenty of room for the people that are alive right now. And I'm very interested in reducing toxicity. People should put their garbage where it belongs. Shouldn't be dumping raw sewage into the ocean. It should be treated. Okay, we shouldn't be dumping garbage out in the ocean. There's better ways of handling it than that. Okay, I'm all about wanting to handle our trash in a better way. There can be a lot of recycling. Now, what has happened historically with the mind control programming package that so much of humanity is buying would be like man-made climate change. Well, it's not entirely false. It's just the cause of this man-made climate change is weather modification, intentionally toxifying the air we breathe with nanoparticulate that is conductive, and it's a fire accelerant. That's one of the reasons why, for example, aluminum, barium, strontium, and more chemicals in particulate are fire accelerants. And some of it's being put in jet fuel, some of it's being released in outright spraying apparatus. And then as that material float or falls down all around on the oceans and on the forests, it gets integrated in our whole biosphere. And then, like in Australia or California, the half of North America was on fire this past year. The western portion apparently just had massive amounts of fires. And then people will argue, well, what caused the fires? Well, there's evidence of directed energy weapons, smart meters, outright arsons using gas and propane and gender reveal parties and all kinds
I'd
of
say something, Robert.
things. Of
Robert, with
course.
with those fires in California, they've had a lot in Australia, and they're all in the paths of where they want to build trains.
Imagine that. What a coincidence. What a great way to move those stubborn people and koala bears and wallabies out of the way. Yeah, they burned up about 1 billion animals, those bastards. You know, can you imagine running for their lives? I mean, I got teary-eyed watching, cried seeing these animals that were burned. Some of them weren't dead yet. They were obviously in a lot of pain. Some of them came up to firemen and women, and they're pouring water in their mouths from water bottles. Uh, the entities that are involved in wanting to reduce about 95% of the world's population are evil. There's just no nice way of putting it. They're evil. I believe they're bastards. They're a combination of uh, Satan, the devil, Lucifer, fallen angels, and merging with what may appear to be human, but they're not exactly human. They're demonically possessed, some of them. And then there may be others that are just maybe they're never going to be God's children. I don't know. I know that Jesus, some listening may know him as the living word, the living water, the most high, the most holy, the great I am, the Alpha and Omega. He's actually the word that he's the way, the truth, and the life. He's the living word that took up flesh and dwelt among us. Okay, so one of the reasons perhaps Eric Dubé wasn't able to find Jesus is because his name doesn't go all the way back to the name Jesus doesn't go all the way back to the original person of Christ, the living word that represents who I am talking about. Now, interestingly enough, that entity that spoke this realm into existence now lives in and through me. That's why I'm not afraid to live, die, or tell the truth. The system, Satan, can try and do whatever he wants to me. He can't touch me any more than God allows. Can't actually kill me unless God allows that. So because of my persistence and God's favor and sovereignty, meaning he's in charge of all this, I've been seen and heard over 40 million times, especially since I was the viral content that I'm in were generated at the Flat Earth International conferences. So I'm in a lot of those videos on the most subscribed YouTube channel in the world, which is PewDiePie, and he's got like 108 million subscribers when the mainstream networks have less than that combined. So the 1% of the 1% that's wanting to cull the human herd, the population of the world, they know who I am. The artificial intelligence does. In fact, it's not just that they know who I am. They basically know almost everybody. Anybody that's on technology, the way that we enroll to social media, or we Google something, we search the internet, or we drive a car through a red light camera, any of that activity. Go for a walk to a store and there's millions of cameras, actually probably billions of cameras worldwide. So there's this, it's not that the system knows who the truth tellers are. They basically know who and where everybody is, for the most part, the majority of the population of the world. And what I've been talking about for quite some time is the mark of the beast system. And that system is all around us, and it's ready to go full mandatory at any time. Non-compliance can mean that you can't buy or sell, and it may cost you your life. Now, ultimately, we're all going to die anyway. The biological or earth suit that we have, our physiology, apparently now lasts for most people less than 100 years, between 70 years and 100 years. However, I don't know if you're aware of this number, but about 250,000 people die every day worldwide. About half of those are abortion. Now, the blood drinking, human sacrificing Satanists have an appetite for adrenochrome and other biological components that they harvest from aborted babies. Is unpopular and ugly as that is to look at, that's part of the reality of the construct of the world that we live in. So many of those babies
Yeah,
are
Robert,
liquid.
it sounds like they're vampires.
Yeah, of sorts, yes. Yeah, there's adrenochrome is like high-powered uh, uh, neurotransmitters that are released in a body that's and through the brain and the adrenaline system and all that in the body of a person that's being terrorized or maybe having ecstasy. It could be uh, on either end of the spectrum, fear for your life or just tremendous pleasure. And that's where this demonic group of people feast off of the negative energy that they have been a catalyst for. So in the going back to what's happening with the aborted babies, many are liquefied and put into food products, personal hygiene products, and outright blood drinking that happens as well. So I'm telling on them, and that's what I'll do. Now,
That sounds
my mom and
horrible,
dad
Robert.
are. Well, it is. It is. Now, my mother died about 27 years ago, and she was only 51 years old. And she told me, Bobby, if the cancer doesn't get you, the treatment will. And she was right. The treatment killed her, and the system causes the cancer for the most part by integrating it into vaccines and into harmful oh, products that are in the food supply and in the air and all that, and frequencies as well. The cell phones radiation can give cancer as well. So what I found out was uh, cancer is a fungus. It grows and it can be killed with baking soda. Dr. Seminici out of Italy was able
Can I
to
say
kill
something, Robert?
cancer with
Robert,
that.
Robert, can I say something?
Of
They're
course.
changing their mind about cancer now.
How's that?
Cancer is not a bad thing. Cancer's there to protect you. It's because they cut it out and they give you say if you have chemotherapy, that's mustard gas. These are the things that kill you. You might get cancer about 7 times in your lifetime and your immune system takes care of it. But it's there to protect you. It's not what they've told us it is.
Yeah, so that's exactly in what ends up happening is cancer has an appetite for sugar, has an appetite for acidity, and baking soda is neither acid, it's actually a base, it's alkaline, and it's definitely not sweet, and it kills that fungus without hurting the body. So what I do is I'm bathing in drinking water, highly purified, carbon filtered, reverse osmosis drinking water. I've got a system that fills up my tub and I heat about a third of that water on the stove. I've got an electric stove, so I heat up the water on there and I add a quarter cup of baking soda, a quarter cup of boron. The brand name of borax works great for that, and a quarter cup of magnesium sulfate. A lot of people are, that's Epsom salt. A lot of people are loaded up with toxicity in the body. So, like if I were to shovel that those dry minerals, those electrolytes, and put it all in a glass and swallow it, I would be throwing up and it would be a mess. Okay, it just wouldn't be right. Well, bathing in it's different because it is absorbed in through the skin and it releases the lactic acid from the muscles. It is very calming to the uh, perspective. Epsom salt is very good to help overcome nervous issues and nerve issues, and it's very relaxing. So it's also very effective at easing somebody off of an addiction. If you know somebody that wants to quit smoking or drinking alcohol or shooting up heroin, then Epsom salt baths can work great for that. Not just heroin, like junkies, like people buying street heroin. It can be like people that have an addiction to pharmaceuticals like oxycodone or oxycontin. One of the other interesting things that I found out is that the body does better when it's grounded, like walking barefoot on the beach. And I've got a video called
Yeah,
Earthing. It's a
we want
documentary.
those. We
What's
need
that?
those negative ions. That's what we need.
Yeah, and our body has an electrical system. When the electricity stops flowing, that's when we are dead. At least the body is dead. That's why they use an AED. It's a defibrillator. That's the heart shocker that wakes people up sometimes. They A lot of the COVID activity had a do not resuscitate component to it. Not only that, the system of disinformation caused a lot of people to be afraid of getting a virus, when in fact, as best I can tell, it's more about the terrain. Terrain is a medical term talking about our physiology, and our proper functioning immune system helps us to fend off body invaders like cancer, like toxicity that's in the environment. So, a body that's perpetually detoxing in a deliberate effort to reduce toxification, and combined that with food for thought. Food for thought is not just an idea, and it's not just healthy nutrition. It's actually all of that and a little bit more. So, what we think about actually affects our physical condition. If we're afraid, if we're angry, it has negative
You mean
emotions
our
that
flight and
up.
fright thing?
Yeah, exactly. So that those contaminants or those neurotransmitters that are released in our body when we're afraid or angry have an effect, and pretty much a negative effect. And then when we're happy and hopeful and the opposite of that, it has beneficial effects on our physiology and our psychology. However, the system of control that wants to toxify and drug humanity out of effectiveness wants basically to trick people into focusing on information that's not true. So even though we have a powerful computer system and artificial intelligence, machine learning technology that's all around us, there are people that are programmed by that system that is programming them quite often with false information. Now, I can look at the information and say, well, that's not true. So we've got a lot of truth tellers, supposedly, that are truthers, and like James Corbett, bless his heart, he's got the globe spinning and behind him. It's like, James, you figured out so many of the atrocities in this world, put together excellent documentaries that I've got on my channel of his. However, he didn't figure out we don't live on a spinning water ball, spinning, wobbling, and gyrating water ball hurling through space yet. It isn't because I haven't told him. I put it on my. He did a video about the history of the potato. It was a great video. I put it on my channel. I said, please explore the history of the globe, and some people liked that comment. Now, I don't know if he was given the word that he Can't touch that. Hey, you can't touch us. Dun, 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 dun. You know, I don't know. We've got
I was
programming.
thinking that, Robert.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, I can't touch this. You know, so yeah, it's hammer time. So what do we do when we find out that much of what we've been told is a lie? Well, my response is to tell the truth. Our oldest son nearly died, as well as my wife, when she gave birth to him. It was it was undiagnosed toxemia, and she had an emergency C-section, and I was there when they cut her open like a turkey and pulled our son out. And I'll tell you what, it was mind blowing to see that. Now, when she came into the hospital that morning, uh, they did not take blood pressure, which would have alerted them to the problem. And the doctor that saw her a week earlier should have picked up on toxemia, which she had, because her body was puffed up like the Michelin man. She had water, she was holding water. Now that I know what edema looks like, I can spot it. A lot of the people that are walking around that are really heavy may have a neurotoxin that's causing the body to hold a lot of water. It's not necessarily fat, okay? But anyway, that son almost died. Then our middle son, who was born just a couple weeks before my mother died, he almost died like 3 weeks later. So, and I've had many near-death experiences myself, from my own suicide attempt while I was on Prozac and Depakote. There's a high morbidity and mortality rate around those drugs now. And so that was in 2005. That's when Hurricane Katrina was pummeling the world. By the way, there's weather modification. Weather Wars 101 covers the electronic activation of the particulate in the atmosphere, and also bouncing energy off of the firmament to manipulate weather. Now, also, like in North America here, at least in the United States, there's about 7,000 power plants that can release moisture in a very outrageous amounts. And I've got video on my channel that shows that and talks about it. And it can be choreographed with NexRad radar, these orbs that are on antennas, or that are actually an energy field that affects the weather also. So the reason why I share that with you is a lot of things are not as they appear. So the system, who are they? It's the system of control, the one world or new world order, one world government, new world order. The World Economic Forum is a big part of it. The Bill and Melinda Gates, those that are relying heavily on artificial intelligence to pump and dump stocks and buy up the wealth of people, the real wealth. They trade debt slavery for real stuff as collateral, and then they can collapse the economy and harvest all the real estate and real goods. It's tremendously effective. The system's been doing it for a long time. I have no problem remembering and retrieving this information, where when I was on pharmaceuticals to manage me, to keep me stupefied, I couldn't remember the words very good, where they were. Heck, I didn't even care about it much of any of this kind of stuff. I spent about a dozen years on pharmaceuticals and other chemicals that modified my perspective: alcohol, marijuana, and more. And I'm just so glad to be free from all of that. I wanted to let people know that now that I'm actually born of the Spirit, that's born again, I'm free from that. I'm a new man. I'm not the guy that I was. And a lot of people hate the new me because I'm telling. I'm showing
I only
and I'm
know the
telling.
new. I only know the new you. You're perfect, Robert.
Well, thanks, Karen. Not exactly perfect, what I would say is I'm glad you appreciate what you're looking at and what you've come to
Robert, we've had
enjoy
quite a
as.
few talks, haven't we, in the past? We're good friends. We talk to each other
Yeah,
all the time.
yeah, absolutely. And I'm just very privileged to be able to know you and actually the network that you created with the Sun and Moon Family Group and more. Your activity was instrumental in growing my channel when it was young. I remember having like 70 subscribers or so, and I said, I need to have 100 subscribers to go live on a mobile device. And if you can please subscribe to my channel, then that can happen. Well, that was a few thousand subscribers ago, and I can only see about a third of my actual subscribers because two-thirds of the people monitoring my channel don't make that public. They don't make their subscription list public. So, of course, the artificial intelligence that monitors every bit of data that it can knows very well what I'm doing. So, like when I go to the Prince Resort at the Cherry Grove Fishing Pier, I'm out there and I interact with people that are curious and they come on over to me. They'll see my chairs with truth on them, like my shirt or the Truth Mobile or the surfboard that I have. And I'm visible on cameras that are live 24/7 worldwide that you can actually go to and see from a remote location from right where you are. You could go to the Prince Resort, Cherry Grove, South Carolina, and there I am quite often. When I'm out there on the beach or out there surfing, I picked up surfing a couple months ago, and I really enjoy it. Now, I've been going to the beach, taking
Yes, I
pictures
haven't
and
kept
video
that
for
much.
years.
I haven't kept up too much. I always see you saying, I'm going surfing, or I've been surfing when I get to your videos. So you enjoy that, do you?
Well, I do. It's quite a learning process, and it's quite a different perspective. So, like I don't have the riding the waves real cool down like but I can paddle out there even when the waves are big. I paddle out a little bit further than where they're breaking, and I just sit out there and enjoy it, and then I'll ride a few waves in. But like the other day, I was out there and there were a lot of pelicans diving, and probably more than 30 dolphins were swimming all around. Every now and again, a shark is out there, but I'm not afraid of the sharks anymore. Not the way I used to be. And so I was told that they can actually pick up on fear, that some of the mammals, like dolphins and potentially sharks, can pick up on emotions of people. Potentially that's the case. I don't know for sure. But what I was told too is that they are repelled somewhat by high-powered magnets. Like you can get a wrist or an ankle band that has a magnet in it, a neodymium magnet. It's a high-powered magnet. I had some around the house that I put one magnet by my fin on my surfboard, so that may work to repel them. I don't know. I don't have any problem with them. We haven't had a shark bite in this area for a long, long time, so it's not something that I'm concerned with. However, every now and again, it can be that maybe one is around and it's not like one of the regulars. And I would want to not be too close to the pier because that's where they dump a lot of bait in the water and clean fish and that type of thing. But anyway, the thing about being in the ocean, I have a wetsuit on too that I wear this time of the year because the water's a bit cooler. And what I'll do is I'll take my wetsuit in the bathtub and clean it up with the baking soda, borax, and magnesium. And then I wrap it up in plastic and take it out there to the ocean. And so when I slip on that suit, I've got that layer of the purified water and those other electrolytes that I mentioned. And so I typically like to have my feet and hands not covered. I've got gloves and booties if I want to wear them, but the fact that I'm in the ocean is it's very conductive. It's grounding. The atmosphere, yeah, around the Earth is positively charged. The Earth is
Hey,
ground
Robert,
is
Robert,
negative.
it must be electrifying.
It is. It is. It very much so. And
Robert, can I
so,
ask you something? When you
absolutely.
film the water and you see those glistens, they're not glistening. The sun is not glistening on the water like you think it is. They're little electrical orbs jumping around, aren't they?
Well, that's an interesting thought. I know that there's reflections, and I've seen fascinating video that will slow it down. I've got different people that talk about water memory and the physics and properties of water, and there's just fascinating studies that have been done on water and how it works. It works to clean the world that we live in, including the bodies that we live in. So the purified water is a big deal because it draws toxins out of the body. The powerful electrolytes that I mentioned are cancer preventing and detoxifying electrolytes as well. So what ends up happening is the food for thought, that combination of healthy nutrients and reducing toxic exposure and living in a pursuit of, doing the right thing for the right reason and all of that, having the power to say no to things that I used to be addicted to that were harmful to me. I I live in that, and that's one of the reasons why I mention it. So even though some of the YouTube videos that I'm in, that have millions and millions of views, they're mocking the truth. They're mocking the reality. And those of us that are aware of that, I don't have a problem with them making fun of me telling the truth about what's going on. Unfortunately for them, many of them are believing the lie, or maybe they find the profitability of being deceptive so enjoyable, and the things that they can buy by telling lies and promoting a deception, maybe that works for them. That doesn't work for me. I would rather tell the truth, and God still provides for me. I'm not at a loss for anything that I need. He provides all my needs and quite a few of my wants as well. And here's where a really important reality became obvious to me. Rather than me trying to convince God what He should do for me, I wanted to find out what He created me to do, and therefore I can rely on Him to give me the power to do that. So rather than me doing my own thing and trying to convince Him on how He should help me do that, I just want to do His thing because I can rest assured that He will give me the power to do what He created me to do. Makes perfect sense. So that's why I'm unapologetically biblical. If people want to believe whatever they want to believe, I would say that's actually how it works. One of the Bible passages that really blew me away when I found it was, I found it about six and a half years ago or so. It goes like this in Second Thessalonians chapter 2. They refuse to love the truth and so be saved. For this reason, God sends them a powerful delusion. So, what I understand with that is people are going to believe the lie they apparently want to believe, and God will help them do it. And that's unfortunate for them. If they're not going to be saved, then that means that ultimately they were, I believe, the devil's children. Now, for those that want to look at uh, the apparent contradiction between man's free will and God's sovereignty, I would say I heavily focus on God's sovereignty, meaning he's all powerful and he's all knowing as well. Omniscience, omniscience is how it looks, and how it's pronounced is omniscience. God knows everything and he's all powerful. So rather than try and figure it out myself, I rely on him to help me know not only what's true, what's also important for me to do. How should I go about sharing this information? And I believe that he leads me to do that. And so it's a perfect fit. I get to do largely what I want to do because he, as I desire to serve him and do what he created me to do, he puts that desire to do those things in my life. So he gave me a passion, purpose, an eternal perspective, and the power to do what I previously couldn't do, and the pleasure to enjoy it all, even though it's rather unpopular. Like I say, the truth isn't based on popular opinion. It's not popular and it's not an opinion. It's simply the reality, the truth of it. So when I have people on my channel that are promoting a lie, I sometimes will feature the video and say amazing analysis sharing through, deployed worldwide through my AI research library. And then I'll sometimes put my name or phone number there because those won't hyperlink. And then in the comment, I'll put my playlist. Some people go there and subscribe. Um, that's great. Sometimes, maybe they don't. Maybe my channel is hidden from those on the thread. I would think with an organization like well, not like I would say the World Economic Forum has a way of communicating with one another as they look at the people that are commenting. There's some serious hating going on that channel with they're making condescending accusations, and I understand some of the anger because that system of eugenics and population control wants to reduce the amount of humanity substantially with a great reset. So, there's more benevolent ways of managing humanity, and I believe telling the truth is an important part of that so people can make an informed choice. Where will they spend forever and why? That's the main point because we're all gonna our bodies are gonna stop working. Where will we spend forever? So that's why I do this. I'm not trying to extend my life longer necessarily for the sake of living longer. If that were the case, I certainly wouldn't be doing what I'm doing
Hey,
because
Robert, you're trying to live rich, aren't you? In yourself.
yeah, so that is I'm storing up for myself riches in heaven where moth and rust cannot destroy. So like Jesus says, or the living word, the way, the truth, and the life, what he said was, what will it profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his soul? Wow. So I wouldn't trade places with the wealthiest people in the world. There's millionaires, billionaires, and trillionaires, and I wouldn't want all of that money if it meant I lost my soul, because the eternity is a long time to regret. It's forever. So, I'm grateful to do what I get to do. Now, Karen, we've been going on for a while. Was there anything in particular you wanted to touch on and or ask me or
Well, we've
talk
been
about?
going for nearly an hour now. That's gone really quickly, Robert. It's like I just pressed the record button. What do you want to do? Talk for another 10 minutes, or
Wow.
what do you want to do?
It's right now as I'm talking to you, 11:11
Uh,
Eastern Standard Time.
do you know what
Yeah, it's
my
kind of funny. Sometimes I look at that.
I can see it. 11. Mine's 14:11, but yeah.
Yeah, so part of what happens that time difference is something that we look at. There's the way that our world system is right now, the celestial timepiece that moves above this stationary Earth with the sun, moon, and stars. I'm going to say something that people can take a look at if they want, wherever you are, where I believe this to be very true and very accurately and succinctly stated. So here it goes. Where the sun and the moon appear and vanish on the horizon, and the duration of visibility, especially between one another through the phases and the seasons, indicates conclusively that the sun, moon, and stars move above the stationary level Earth. And that's something that people can check. The fact that the surface of undisturbed, unmanipulated water is flat, and it's also level. And yeah, in a container, right at the edge of the glass, it can have a little turned up part, but it's mostly flat and certainly level. So when I looked at all the different things, like right now we've got a lot of controversy around the election, the presidential election, and it's a lot of theater. I actually elected to not vote. How about that? I wanted to send a message to the system and say, yeah, not doing it. I'm not consenting to this system of control and enslavement. And it's just my way of saying, no, not doing it. Now, what has been inserted into the programming
Robert,
package is if you
Robert,
go ahead.
you're not buying, are you?
They're lying. I ain't buying. Who's they? Well, Satan, and basically all those that are deceived. So one of the components of the programming package, where if somebody says if you don't vote, you can't complain about it. Who made that up? That's a bunch of bullocks. I'll not vote and like it, and I'll talk about it. I'll say,
Robert, you
now
swore.
is bullocks swearing?
That's not like you. You're a gentleman, you
Yeah.
are.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Well, it's interesting. This world that we live in has social norms and constructs and mores, and so much of it has been created by computer algorithms and manipulation that many people are unaware of. So there's been a continued emphasis to corrupt humanity. And I believe it's something that people should know is going on. Now, one of the last times that we talked, I talked about the Out of Shadows documentary. That video had a couple 100,000 views when I first deployed it through the Truth Network, through my research library. When they took it down, when they took the channel down, it had 19 million views. Now, there were a couple other occurrences of that video, Out of Shadows, that I found, and there is outofshadows.net, where you can find that video, where it didn't get censored there, and they've got powerful information about our current situation as it relates to COVID-19 and the Great Reset. So, right now, even though we can talk relatively freely about this information, there may come a day when any objectionable discourse or explanation can be removed. So they could, in effect, remove every occurrence of my channel, every occurrence of any video, and anybody's talking about things they don't want. So the 1984 Orwell, Big Brother, and all of that, it's just a moment away. It can all be activated. And I was listening to Montagraph, and he was, I've got the video on my playlist. Hopefully it's still there. Keep in mind, when I when I say it's on my channel, perhaps it's been removed. I don't know. But anyway, he was talking about all the truth could be edited off. And the way that it works now is that truth tellers quite often are people that are viewed as a bit odd anyway. And that's because the truth is stranger than fiction. People will hear something that sounds odd because it doesn't agree with the official narrative. Well, it there's a what's called the law of non-contradiction. Opposing views cannot both be correct. If one is right and the other is opposed to it, then it's wrong. It's just the way it is. So it's the law of non-contradiction. So I'm either right or I'm wrong. It's either true or it's false. It's either black or it's white. And that is really challenging because the system of control loves to get us arguing about things that don't really matter that much, and arguing and hating on each other. And all the while they're taking their proceeds, our our stored value, our energy that we've put forth into houses and cars and businesses, and they take it. They steal it. And there's a document on my channel called Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. And some will say, oh, that's just fiction. That's just parody. I would say, well, when I listen to it, and I've done that probably over 30 times, I can look around and see what they projected was going to happen from over 50 years ago. It's happening right now. Or it's like 40, at least 40
It's
years
almost
ago.
unbelievable what we're living in now. I mean, we've been awake for a while and we've had our podcasts and so on like that, and we've talked, but it's almost, I just don't even know how to put it into words about what's going on right now.
And that's one of the convenient things about having the largest communications network and system of, of a weapon of mass instruction. I'm leveraging that along with the portable, instantaneous, worldwide communication systems that we're using right now for this. So if somebody goes to my channel and they say, oh, I was looking for that video. Oh, I couldn't find that. That's amazing. By irony and paradox, we don't know what we don't know. And there's a treasure trove of truth on my channel. And if somebody wants to call me, you can do it through Facebook Messenger. You can do it through my phone number. My number on WhatsApp is my phone number. You can put it in a comment. I may not see it right away if it's got a hyperlink in it, but I can review it and approve it if it's something that I want to feature on my channel. Yeah.
Robert, what I do is I sometimes use Wise Up, but I use your footage quite a lot when I want a background, and you always come on with your card and your telephone number, so they get it that way as well on
Thank
my
you so
videos.
much. I
No,
appreciate that.
thank you so much, Robert. If people don't realise, Robert spends hours and hours and hours of his life on the beach taking film of the sun and the moon.
Thank you, Karen. Well,
Thank you, Robert.
oh, you're welcome. And what has happened is I've captured so much of that, and it's beautiful, and I enjoy interacting with people out there. What I have found is that the tremendous amount of content that has been created by talented producers all over the world is what I put together on my channel. So it's not just the research library playlist that I put out. That is each and every one of those, that post of that link can bring people back to my channel and find playlists of featured individuals. We haven't even really talked about, or I haven't mentioned much about uh, voice to skull, targeted individuals, and gang stalking. It's all there. There's so much there. So what has happened is people have been lied to and believe that lie. And many are deceived. Some of us are waking up and thought it would be nice to let other people know that, hey, we we used to be unaware of this stuff, and it's good to know. It's good to be free. So even though there's a world of enslavement that's going on, like a prison for your mind, like Morpheus talked about in the movie The Matrix, there is freedom in knowing the truth. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And ultimately, the truth is not just an ideal, and it's not only the intellectual high ground in a search or a discussion, it's a person in the name of in the person of the true creator of this world. And there's coming a time when there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth, and all of Satan's children and the fallen angels aren't going to get to hang out with God's children anymore. So that's what's coming, and it's already been done, as in eternity. The victory has already been won, and we're on this battlefield right now. Just so you know, it takes less than a day to hear the entire New Testament, and the book of Revelation is about an hour and 20 minutes to listen to. I use the Bluetooth technology, and I'll play it on my phone when I'm sleeping at night because, I know some people say, I prefer to read my Bible. Well, that's fine. You can read it. However, I can't read it when I'm sleeping or almost sleeping or riding the motorcycle or any of that, but I can listen to it. So I listen to it. I'm an audio-visual learner. Many people are. So when I hear things, I've found quite a bit of encouragement in knowing the truth of the Bible and knowing the author of the Bible too. It's the creator. It's the living word. So Karen, I want to thank you so much for having me on. It's been a real
Oh,
pleasure.
it's always great having you, Robert. Listening to you talking away, you've changed your stance quite a lot. When we first used to have hangouts, you talk about the sun and the moon, and now you've marched on with this other stuff, and you go surfing.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to do, and part of the dynamic is it's exciting for me to go where I do because it's very public and people can come up and talk to me. They don't have to make an appointment. They can
Hey,
just go on
Robert,
out
you
there, and I'm
Robert,
there often.
you own that beach.
Oh, well, Karen, thank you so much for having me on. Was there anything else you wanted to touch
No,
on
we
before
came
we?
to listen to you, but it's very great. I mean, it's not great because it's not a good subject you're talking about, but you know quite a lot about that now, and you're talking about it quite good, so that's good. So yeah, I very much appreciate all your time talking to us.
Oh, thanks, Karen. So what I'll like to do, if it's all right with you, is put the hashtag in my name in a comment after the video is up, and also my research library, and I'll include this video in that. People can call me anytime. I do that for a reason because telling the truth can be very unpopular, and that was what I found out early on in this whole discussion is that people were being bullied by friends and family, maybe people that used to be friends, but it's challenging because the truth is very unpopular for most of humanity. But for those of us who have an appetite for it, there's nothing else that will substitute for the truth. There's the truth and a whole bunch of everything else. So my favorite food for thought is truth and healthy nutrition. So there you go. So it's not only what we put in our bodies and what we hear, it's what we think about and the thoughts we have about our identity
Mm.
and about the world that we live in. So sometimes our self-talk can be incorrect. And so that's
Well, we're
where,
always learning, aren't we, Robert?
yes, we are. Yes, we are. Well, Karen, thank you so much for having me on.
Are you going to say goodbye to me after I've stopped the button?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, for everybody, thank you so much, Robert. Mwah. Thank you, chat room. Mwah.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you all for coming
Thank
on
you, my
by
darling.
whenever it is
Thank
you're
you.
watching this.
Thank you, my
Bye-bye.
darling.